Okay, just an update. We did the rust treatment with the vapor rust, and I came out a couple days later, hit it with a wire wheel and a drill. As you can see, it's nice, and I mean, there's still some rust there, but it's pretty much, I think paint will adhere to it. Pretty much, I'm going to go ahead and shoot a coat of primer on it and some paint, and then thing is, if you don't get paint on it, it's going to flash rust, and you're constantly scrubbing rust off the block. So we're trying to get past that stage. Core plugs will need to come out and get replaced. They still have rust on them, but they're coming out. But I'm going to attempt to prime this and put a coat of Chrysler orange on it, and then I'm done with the block. Well, as far as polishing rust out of it, or yeah, scrubbing, wire wheeling, all that good stuff. So you can see I got tape on the other side. We're going to roll that around, and I have a coat of primer on that. Okay, so here we are on the other side. I'm going to wipe it down with an acetone just to get any last bit of dirt off it. So you can see there's still dirt. That's an acetone rag. I'm wiping the cast surface. I'm going to put our rust reformer primer on it. Then hit it with the orange. When that dries, the cleanup did reveal there's a nice pit in that core plug. I was going to replace them anyway, but there's a nice pit in that one. They're not that bad, but you'll have to forgive me. I should probably have the camera on a tripod, but this is quick. I started doing this and I thought, oh, I should film it. Just one of the steps. Actually getting the block covered with paint. So like I said, you're not out here all the time fighting rust on your block. But if you look at that, that didn't turn out bad. Like I said, paint will adhere to it, but it's just purely a vapor rust and wire wheel and a drill. One of the little brass brush that you put in an electric drill, and the rust literally blew right off like dust. I think the acid had something to do with it. But yeah, we're gonna hit that with some primer and then some paint. Okay, here we go with the primer. Like I said, it's just stuff I had in my cabinet. If I was going to run out and buy something, I probably would have got a self-etching primer. But this is a Rust-Oleum rust reformer. I believe it will work here because it will make any leftover rust paintable. Well, so they say. We'll find out. Those of you may know, if you ever painted an engine over rust, the paint doesn't last too long. You could start the car up a couple times in the garage over the course of a year, and the paint will just start peeling off. It doesn't adhere. So that's why I went to this. I went to the trouble of messing around with that vapor rust and the scrubbing and the brushing and the dirty hands and whatnot. Just because I've been there when I was younger. You clean it up the best you can, but it's still rust and you paint over it. It just don't work. And I know that from experience. Same way with your timing cover. Your timing cover is aluminum. That has to be cleaned really good too for the paint to adhere to. Okay, we're going to let that sit. And we're on the other side. Passenger side if it was sitting in the car. I think I'm going to get a whole bunch in where the oil filter goes because the paint will come off in the oil system and possibly get pumped through. I have to pick up a 90-degree oil adapter for that. I have one somewhere, but I got to get the gaskets. Not bad for old paint. I'm not sure what I painted with this. If it was the other 340, it's over 10 years old, but I don't think I had to paint that long. It's possible, though, this paint is 10 years old. Well, 2008, 13 years old. How's that for being cheap? Nah. All right. We'll let that sit. Okay, so I want to give a quick overview of how I do core plugs. I call these core plugs because these are meant to, they're for the casting, get the sand out of the casting. People call them a freeze plug because they pop out when the water in the block or the diluted antifreeze freezes up. But it's really not what they're for. They're core plugs. And they're there, again, for the casting process to get the sand out of the block. So for this, to get these core plugs out, you're going to need a punch. I got a flat blade punch here. Ball peen hammer, I believe this is 24 ounce pair of channel locks. What I do, I'll pick a spot on a core plug, 12, 6, 3, 9. And what you want to do is rotate the core plug on an axis. So you don't have to hit it that hard. It's a cast. I don't like to go too crazy, but we'll knock it through. If you see, it's pivoting on an axis. And you reach in with your pliers and rip it out. And that is all there is to removing a core plug. Stand by, we'll go over how to install it. Okay, so one of the reasons you do core plugs, as you can see, this is a steel core plug. It's rotted through, it was real thin. I don't even think I punched there with the punch. You could see that had holes in it. That would have leaked if I would have just left it in, painted over it like that. I painted over them knowing I was going to replace them. But you could see right there, that would have been a leak. Dropped the engine in, dumped the coolant in, it would have been leaking all over the place. That plus this core plug's 52 years old. And if you look down in the holes, another reason, get all that sludge out of there. Look at that. You can kind of see the cylinders down in there, but you can see, you can get in here with a screwdriver, scrape around, shop vac, suck it all out. Now's the time to do it. Right there you can see. It looks like a rat's nest in the water jackets. So even though we're not hot tanking it, we're doing this in the home garage, we can still clean out the water jackets. Alright, so I already poked around with a screwdriver in here, and you could see. Look, you can see the gunk in there. Sediment. Look down in there. Same in there. Now, I could roll this and put that all over my floor, but I'm going to get a shop vac out and vacuum all this out. Do this again. And the next step will be to sand these surfaces where the core plugs are going to go. Okay, the next step is sand these out with sandpaper. So I got a piece of 100 grit here. Just gonna clean them up. Let's see. Cleans up pretty good. This block really wasn't in that bad a shape. Could have been worse. You just want enough where it could seal. Treat it like, it's a cooling system. You're going to seal it up just like you would cleaning up for a water pump, thermostat flange, any type of gasket surface. That level of cleanliness. See, I can see the sealing surface there. It's that one. I don't think this motor had maybe 60,000 on it. I don't even know. I got the car with 99 on the odometer. It was a 318 under the hood. So this engine wasn't under the hood. So this didn't have 99 on it. The body did. It's just what I'm sanding off. It feels like old sealant in mud, you know, sludge. Okay, that's feeling pretty good. I'm just running my bare finger over it, feeling for any high edges. All right, I'm liking that. Okay, as you can see, we got most of the rat's nest out of there. And little dimples you see at the bottom there is casting. That's not sludge. I poked at that for a while and it's not coming out. It's in the same place in all three, so yeah, we'll get into installing. So what I have here is a whole milling engine block kit. It comes back. Got it from Summit Racing. MPE-613BR. This is the core plug kit. In the back you can see it has some brass core plugs, a couple little like pipe plugs, all the different size core plugs in this block. So there's core plugs all down the side and then through the front and then the back behind where the flywheel would go. So what we're looking at is a inch and 5/8 core plug. We need 3 of them. And you can't mistake where they go. They fit right where they go. Well, they don't fit, but you can tell where they go. You're not going to mess that up. So I just set them in place. Make sure I had the right ones sitting there ready to go. I'm going to use a Permatex number 2 RTV. One thing I want to show you. These plugs, see how much thicker they are on the sides than the stock ones. So the stock ones were recessed down in the hole. These brass ones, all you got to do is drive them down flush. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. But look at the difference in thickness. So these here would have required a driver to drive them squarely down in, recessed below the surface. These here we're going to drive in flush. This is a bearing race and seal driver tool. Not the right tool for this. This is what I'm going to use. If you have the engine out of the car, you can use the core plug installer tool, which has an angle on it. But when you're out of the car, you got all the access to it. You could drive these in with a socket if you wanted to, but you want to make sure you drive on this thin edge. Don't stick the socket down in and push the middle, because it will cause... the hammering on the middle may cause this to distort, and it won't, you know, it'll bend up. So we're going to drive squarely down with this seal driver like that. And we're going to get it sitting in there. We're going to drive it down to the seal driver rests against the cast block, and we're going to stop, and it should be sitting flush. Permatex number 2, we're going to coat core plug with that. Just a little bit. And yeah, we'll go around here. Set a little bit. Looks like I got a lot on there. gonna schmutz it around with our finger. I'm a little messy, but I'm in a hurry, so kind of out here after work during the week, which is unusual for me, but I wanted to get this done. All right. So as you see, that's sitting there all schmutzed up. Now I'm going to take my 24-ounce ball peen hammer and drive it home and try not to, don't go crazy because this is an aluminum. This is an aluminum tool. I don't want to mess this tool up, but I'm going to. Feels like it's cocking a little bit. Now, I can feel that settled up against the block. You can hear it. You can hear it ringing against the cast. And we'll wipe that schmutz off. This is a different type of schmutz. It's not like RTV. It dries, but it's what was recommended for core plugs. I believe I read it out of the book, How to Rebuild Your Small Block Mopar. Permatex number 2. So I went out, found Permatex number 2, picked it up just for this. It's almost like a plumber's sealant. It feels. But there that is, installed. We'll get the rest of them knocked in. Go from there. As I said, we're improvising with the bearing race and seal driver. It's just a tool that I happen to have that would work for this. Now, another thing that would work is an impact socket and an impact extension. Something you want to hammer on, that you don't mind if you mess it up. Sometimes when you bang on a 3/8 extension, square end, you distort it where you can't use it again. It becomes a driver. Alright, so make sure that sealant's all the way around. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you want to try to get it square set up, but it'll square itself with this tool. It squares up nicely on its own. You can hear it when it bottoms out against the cast. But as you can see, careful prep, systematic step by step. I probably bang these 3 in a half hour. So that was a productive half hour to an hour out in the garage after work on a weeknight. Trying to do this in the car is a whole nother story. If anybody's ever been there, you know what I mean. You need that special tool. Yeah, see, they're all sitting flush, squared up nice. Like I said, I'm getting a little bit of schmutz here on the orange paint, but try and go after that a little bit later, maybe with a little brush. There you have it. Brass core plugs removed and installed. Okay, so I just wanted to show you. So there's core plug in the front of the block here on both sides, and then you have some coming in the back, plus you have the plug behind the cam. If you're going to drive cam bearings into your block, you're going to need to knock that back plug out, or it may come out anyway with the bearing driver tool, the cam bearing tool. I think I'm going to run with these cam bearings. I'm going to clean them up pretty good. But yeah, that bag has all kinds of pipe plugs. They come in through the back, the oil galleys. You can, you know, get bottle brushes, clean out your oil galleries. I will most likely do that. I think it would be smart at this point to clean out the oil galleries with bottle brushes. But I got to get this block off the stand and go into the back of it behind the flywheel, inside the bell housing. There's plugs back there too. Those are important because what happens is you get your transmission, everything all bolted up, and the leaks behind the bell housing, and you got to take everything back out and fix whatever leak it is. It could be coolant, it could be oil. So those plugs will have to be sealed up and driven in properly. And that's it. I'm trying to think what else anything else I want to cover here quick. I believe that's it. We're getting there. It's taking a while, but we're getting there.